Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kiki and Kibitz. It's Mary, and I'm here with this week's edition of 90 Days and 900 Seconds, Happily Ever After, Season 7, Episode 13, Can't Fight This Feeling. And let me tell you, we're almost there. We're almost at the end, and I can't fight the feeling to gouge my eyes out of my head with a rusty fork. Matt Sharp Productions, TLC. With all this crap going on this season with Happily Ever After, you got to stop. You have to stop the bullshit. If I was going to give this episode a grade, I would give it a grade of a D. Every week, it's the same bullshit over and over. The highlight of every episode is Mila. I mean, come on. We could do better. We could do so much better. I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes, 900 seconds, because that's all this 2-hour fucking episode with commercial deserves. So here we go. Going to start with Ed and Liz. So Ed takes Liz back home to Arkansas, back to his childhood home. So he's taking her home to his sister because the engagement party was such a shit show, so he wants to take her home, and his sister doesn't have such good of impression of her, because they've broken up 1,000 times. So they're going home to Arkansas, and Arkansas stirs up all the feelings for Ed, because that's where he lived until like his early 20s, and he had a complicated relationship with his dad, and his dad lived there until he died 10 years ago. So he's going home now. He's taking Liz to see his roots, and they go right to his high school, because high school was Ed's glory years. He was bullied in elementary school, bullied in middle school, but in high school was his glory years, He had one date in middle school and one date in high school, by the way, just to let you know his dating life. So him and Liz go to the track because apparently Ed ran track in high school. Picture this in your head. Let this marinate for a moment. Ed ran track in high school. So they go to the track. Liz is holding the dog. Picture this whole scene in your head, because I know you're not watching the season because you're watching me instead. And Ed goes to go in the starting position like a runner would do. And he's like, I'm so fat, I can't even get down. He wouldn't even attempt to get down because he would get stuck. So he goes to pretends he's going to run down the track, and he makes it about 3 feet, and he's like, it's just so stupid. So then cut scene, they're at a sister's house, they're at the table, and they go to, it's his sister Christine, hubby Jack, and Christine is like, I just don't want Ed to get hurt because you guys have broken up like 5,000 times. How do I know that you're not going to break his little heart again? And immediately Liz starts crying on cue, and it's just all bullshit, guys. It's just bullshit. And at some point I tuned out, I think, and I'm sorry, I can't even stomach this anymore. I can't stomach this. I can't fight the feeling of wanting to throw up. How about that? Okay. When it comes to Liz and Ed, I can't fight the feeling of wanting to vomit in my mouth. So I'm going to move on. And moving on to another couple that wants me to make me vomit in my mouth. I can't fight the feeling of wanting to vomit in my mouth, scream, cry, throw something at my TV, and just all the emotions. Angela and Michael. Angela and Michael. Okay, so Angela starts off immediately blaming Michael for everything. She's sick as a dog. She is sick of the dog, people. And Michael's bad behavior is what brought her to Nigeria. Sick as a dog. So Michael agreed to take down his IG. So they're heading to the mechanic to fix his car because, Angela tore the bumper apart. So Michael has to make sure the car's okay because that's his baby. So they get to the mechanic, and Angela, of course, blames Michael for her bad behavior for tearing the car apart. It's Michael's fault that she tore the car apart and she caused damage. So it's okay. Michael's bad behavior is the reason why she came to Nigeria, but Michael's bad behavior is the cause of her bad behavior. Do you follow this? Because I could barely follow this. So anyway, Michael brings up marriage counseling while they're at the mechanic, and Angela is like, no way. I'm not going to, actually, this is a quote. Hell no, I don't need no one to tell me how to handle my man. So Michael's like, then maybe I should keep an eye on your social media too. Hypocrite. He didn't say hypocrite. I threw the hypocrite thing in. But anyway, Angela's like, okay, and maybe I'll go to therapy so they could tell him what he's doing wrong. Because, of course, it's always what he's doing wrong. Because Angela is Saint Angela and she does nothing wrong. Angela could do no fucking wrong. She's Saint Angela, but that's okay. So they get to the therapist's office and she's like, we're here so the therapist could tell him what he's doing wrong because I do nothing wrong. I do everything right besides call him a bitch, tore his car apart, hit him, verbally abuse him, emotionally abuse him, emasculate him every way I can, but I'm perfect. He does everything wrong. Oh, counselor, sit here and please tell him how he is wrong. So the counselor so respectfully, and the most respectfully, kindful manner, tells Angela to shut the fuck up and listen to people while they are speaking and not to interrupt. And the look on Angela's face was fucking priceless. And I give that counselor 1,000 props for doing that. I screamed at the TV when she did that. That was priceless. She did it in the most respectful, kind manner. She was just like, we need to sit back sometimes and listen to each other without interruption. And Angela looked at her like, excuse the fuck out of me? Who the hell do you think you're talking to? It was hysterical. But Angela shut up and listened to Michael. So she continues to blame everything on Michael, even the fact that she has a crush, a TikTok crush on Billy. It's Michael's fault that she has a TikTok crush on Billy. And Michael's like, excuse me? It is Michael's fault that she wants to go to Canada to visit Billy. And Michael's like, excuse me? Dun, dun, dun. We'll see what happens next week when Angela calls Billy with Michael right next to her. Anyway, moving on. We have Andre and Libby, and this was the SmackDown that has to occur on every season of Happily Ever After. So we have Andre and Libby in the car, and Libby's like, I haven't heard from anybody in my family since I decided I was going to announce my pregnancy on the gram, since that's what we always do. Since I decided to tell my mom and my sisters that I'm having my second baby on the gram, I didn't hear anything until yesterday. My sisters contacted me and they wanted to talk to me, and I hope that they're congratulating me. And Andre is like, they could take their sorries and I'll wipe my ass with their sorries. I will wipe my ass with their sorries. Andre needs to take a fucking chill pill. Okay. That dude is so tightly wound. I can't even fucking deal with him. He needs to take a chill pill. So they get there and they get there, Becky has her dog, and next thing you know, a huge argument breaks out. Surprise, surprise. They're screaming at each other. Andre makes 750 last year. Chuck owns Jen's car or Becky's car. I don't know. I confused them. And next thing you know, Becky and Andre are bitch slapping each other. Becky screaming, "You have some fucking respect. Fuck you." That. Bitch slapping each other like this. And Libby's a chess piece. Becky and Jen are followers. Becky cried. Libby mentioned family therapy, and one of the sisters said, "Do you know how much therapy this family needs? And if you don't go along with what Andre says, you are a Pamela," which is apparently the Moldovan equivalent of a Karen, I believe, because now you're just a Pamela. Okay? So don't be a Pamela. Anyway, moving on, we have Kim and Usman, which this could be the highlight of the episode. If you really want to put this as the highlight of the episode, I'll put this as the highlight of the episode. So we have Kim and Usman. They go back to Usman's home. And Usman says he wants to have a touch of Kimberly in his home. Does he want to have a touch of Kimberly in his home, or does he want to touch Kimberly in his home? But I'm bum bum. So anyway, he has Kimberly helping him decorate his home. And next thing you know, turn around and he's down on one knee with a real diamond ring. I hope it's a real fucking diamond ring, Usman. With a ring, proposing to her. She cries. Of course, she accepts it. And then, next thing you know, they're meeting with an attorney, which, Kim, girl, you should have thought of this before. You really should have thought of this before. They have a Zoom meeting, a virtual meeting with an immigration attorney to find out if all this is possible. If Usman could have two wives and actually, do this whole thing in the States. And the immigration attorney is like, "No way, Jose. No way. And Usman, went from being able to have the possibility of two wives to 0 in 30 seconds. And he was like, "Oh, no. What am I going to do? I need to have child. So what am I going to do?" So they're like, ugh. So next thing you know, they're at the airport and Kimberly's crying, Usman's crying, and Kimberly's going back to the States. So I really hope they have a plan D, E, or F, because Usman needs to have a child. Mama Usman wants a grandchild, and if they can't pull it off, then I don't know what they're going to do. So moving on, we have Yara and Jovi. Now, this was the most uncomfortable car ride you could have ever seen in your whole life. We have Jovi, his party BFFT, and then in the back seat, we got Yara, Mila, and Yara's mom. Okay, so they're driving to Germany on this party trip and to go save Yara's friend who just escaped from the Ukraine. So they drop Yara and her mom and Mila off at the store to buy supplies for Yara's friend, which turns out to be like a boutique, and she's buying her a fancy sweater. If the girl Katrina is already in Germany, I don't understand why she can't go get her own sweater, but whatever. So Yara's buying her a fancy sweater, which I really don't consider an essential supply. I mean, if the girl escaped from the Ukraine with only a backpack on her back with like her documents and stuff, and with only the clothes on her back, maybe buy her hygienic products, some other, basic clothing, underwear, things like that. Not a fancy sweater in a boutique, Yara. Okay. So of course, Yara's mother puts the bug back in her ear that she needs to stay in Europe longer so she can help all of the Ukrainian refugees that are coming into Germany. So next thing you know, Yara's like, Jovi, I have to stay here. My heart is calling me. I have to help all of the Ukrainian refugees that are coming into Germany. And Jovi's like, wait a second. We're a family. We need to make decisions as a family. And Jovi's like, I really feel like she's coming up with any excuse to stay in Europe with our child on her own. No, really? You just realized this, Jovi. So moving on. And now that I only have, let's see, about a minute left, Bilal and Shaeeda. So Shaeeda's friend Eutris, she had Bilal within the first 30 seconds. She sat down at that table and she tried to tell Shaeeda in that store. And Shaeeda knew it. Shaeeda knew it. She just didn't want to admit it. First thing she told Shaeeda was, your man gets a little defensive and deflective, doesn't he? He likes it he likes the gaslight, he likes it deflect a lot, Shaeeda. I noticed this, Shaeeda. And Shaeeda tells her about the doctor visit and how they haven't discussed the baby timeline yet. And Eutris is like, no baby, no yoga studio. This is really interesting. This is really interesting, my friend. And Eutris is like, Shaeeda, he's too comfortable. You need to, make him uncomfortable. You're a newlywed and he's already too comfortable. And Bilal cannot believe that he offended Shaeeda. He is just like incapable of believing that he offended anyone. He really thinks that he's like, he's just like, she offended me. She should be apologizing to me. Like, I didn't offend anybody. So you just has a conversation with Bilal and realizes, like we all have all along, that he's full of crap. He has no intention on helping her getting a physical yoga studio. He's like, I never said anything about a yoga studio. I said about helping her get her yoga business off the ground. Big difference there. To have a physical studio, there's a lot involved there. I offered to help her get her business off the ground. Eutris is like, okay, so let me ask you a question there, Mr. Bilal. What if the Shaeeda was, suddenly pregnant in 6 months' time? I do not want to have a baby. And she's like, I know this. But what if suddenly in 6 months' time, she just happened to be pregnant, woke up, and the pregnancy test said positive. Bilal said that it's God's will. So in Eutris's confessional, she said, my conversation with Shaeeda, I'm just going to mention, I think it's God's will for you to start forgetting to take your birth control pills. Dun, dun, dun. So there we go. There you have it. Let's see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you don't already. Please hit that like button. And you know what would make me so happy? If you shared this video with a friend. Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye.